I am Marie-Minerve Louerat. I work in LIPSIS, which is a computer science laboratory in Paris, France. It has a hardware department, so not only software guys, and it's in Sorbonne University. I'm very pleased to present the GoIT European project today. It started in 2022, it will end in 2025. And let's see. It's about fostering open source hardware. So when we wrote the proposal in Europe, we experienced the chip shortage, but also we saw that in universities, the chip design courses were lacking behind a lot of other courses. But yet, companies, large companies, small companies, research institutes, research labs, they were all asking for chip designers. So there was a problem. And we want to solve it a little bit. So we think that, as some people agree in the room, the very costly EDA tools, as well as the NDAs between the clients and foundries, doesn't help to build a community of chip designers. I must say it is very difficult, even if impossible, to create what could be called the social network of chip designers. And so we think that open source silicon is a way to do so, and it's difficult. We've seen many issues, but we think it's the way to increase the community. So the consortium is quite small. We have 6 partners. It's a consortium on support action, the project. The project leader is a public research institute in Latvia. There are 5 countries, 2 public research institutes, 1 university, 1 foundation, 1 SME, and 1 MPW service in a university. So, unfortunately, there is no German people in the consortium, but Latvia, France, Belgium, Italy, and Spain. So, how do we imagine GoIT? You remember, some of you in the room, we started with Med&Conway and the lambda-based approach to design standard cells. Then the EDA tools came into play to handle the large complexity of the chips and with a high cost also. Then the foundries become so expensive that the fabless companies appear, and the fabless companies design system-on-chip components, and to handle these system-on-chip components, they use IP blocks that are closed IP blocks, and so standards arose to handle communication between those black boxes, those IP black boxes. So now we think it's time to change the habits and to open those black box IPs and to allow the community to understand what is behind the chip and to trust the chip. So it's a bit like Matthias Kofferlein graphs. Well, the goal of the project is to introduce open IPs. That is a very strange word. I mean, open hardware that can be studied, shared, improved, and reused. And to create such things, we have to have descriptions. For example, in digital, you don't just have the instruction set architecture, but you have all the descriptions down to the layout. And for analog people, we have we have to have netlist, a sizing procedure, and layout generation. To do so, of course, we have to use open process design kits, a good library of standard cells, open source EDA tools, and also use some standards and certification to be sure that all those tools and data interact properly. We have to build a lot of bridges. And so I think that the open format for design rules is very useful, not only for foundries, but also for all the people working in these topics. Also, we want to investigate how open source hardware can highlight the root of trust of components and the worthiness that is behind the hardware and the silicon. But many of you say that with open source we don't need license, no problem. In fact, I don't fully agree. We need also a license so that people using and developing the tools know what are their duties and their rights and can interact properly. So our goal is to build an open source IP ecosystem with open source EDA flow. Maybe you will have understood that we wish to propose a flow different from the Open Road one, but as efficient and for comparison, of course, because in academics we like to compare things. And for this, we will need also, we want to develop a lot of test benches and use cases, make tutorials, so that anyone can handle the data. So the GoIT website is still in construction. It's a bit empty now. The project is funding the EFSIC 2023 conference in Paris soon. And so I would like to thank very much IHP. You created really enthusiasm last year in EFSIC 2022 with this idea of open source IHP. You've paved the way for open hardware. So I hope that the two initiatives can cooperate and support each of them. Thank you very much.